Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we are talking about some pretty big news in regards to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Nintendo has actually confirmed some very interesting details about this game. Some theories we've had, well, they've been confirmed. So today what I'm going to be doing is focusing on these new details that Nintendo has confirmed, dissecting them further, and trying to understand their overall full meaning and implications for this game. But also, we have a few other little updates. We have an update in regards to the Metroid Prime 4 Direct rumor, so we'll be speaking on that, and also the Metroid Prime 1 through 3 art book as well. There's some official details that have come out about that. So we actually have a lot to get into today about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. But before doing so, are you looking to add a little bit of style, comfort, and grip to your gaming? Then perhaps the no-slip thumb grips Strawberry Sage Edition might be the right fit for you. These thumb grips from KontrolFreek, the sponsor for today's video, are extremely comfortable, and they are no-slip thumb grips, so if you're playing games and you find yourself slipping a lot, getting sweaty, these types of grips are really good for establishing better control with your games. And they're pretty easy to put on. You flip them inside out, place them on your Joy-Con, and then flip them back over, and there you go. You can check out these thumb grips from KontrolFreek with the link in the description below. So in regards to the art book, Piggyback has put out a new trailer for the art book here. We can see some interesting bits of art, things I haven't seen before. We can see long descriptions about different characters and bosses. And it's talked about on Twitter that the producer Kensuke Tanabe and Retro Studios are providing a lot of insights in this art book here. So there's some serious potential for not just us learning more about the development of Metroid Prime, but also perhaps some key lore details that could offer some pretty important context for the story of Metroid Prime 4. So Piggyback actually shared a link to pre-order this art book. I'll have it linked in the description below. I'm excited for this thing, and it's coming out on October 28th. That could be the beginning of the big marketing push for Metroid Prime 4, which brings us to this Metroid Prime 4 Direct rumor. Nash Weedle actually talked about when we might see this Metroid Prime 4 Direct. Now, for some context, Nash Weedle had actually provided a rumor about there being a big September Nintendo Direct with a big Mario 40th Anniversary presentation, and that we'd also would hear about a Metroid Prime 4 Direct. 2/3 of this rumor proved to be true. The Metroid Prime 4 Direct stuff has yet to have been confirmed. However, during the September Direct, there were a variety of other things that Nash Weedle had leaked in the past that were also confirmed, such as Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, Virtual Boy being added to Nintendo Switch Online, multiple Resident Evil games, a Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition, and a Wonder Flower figurine with new voice lines. All this was confirmed, adding to the long list of things that Nash Weedle has already leaked about Nintendo Switch 2 throughout the year. So I definitely still think there's a great deal of credibility there, but we have yet to hear officially about a Metroid Prime 4 Direct. Nash Weedle is speculating that it could be happening around the release of the Samus Amiibos on November 6th. But then beyond that, he's also saying he has heard that Nintendo's planning some things for this period of time leading up to release, about a month or so leading up to release. And I overall agree with the suggestions here. I agree that we're probably going to see a Metroid Prime 4 Direct in either the last week of October or the first week of November. I'm actually personally leaning more so towards the last week of October, because in the first week of November, we have the release for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, so I don't think we're going to see a Direct like the same day. Maybe earlier in the week, a few days before Hyrule Warriors comes out, that's possible. But I actually think it might make more sense to have the Direct in the last week of October, because currently there are no published Nintendo titles coming out during that week, and also the art book is coming out during that week, earlier in the week, October 28th, so they actually would have time to have a Prime 4 Direct, and if they are going to shadow drop maybe Metroid Prime 2 and or 3, they could do that, and those could be the Nintendo releases for the week, where we oftentimes do see Nintendo releases in the last week of October. But I also agree with this idea that there's going to be a big marketing campaign and lead up to the release of Metroid Prime 4. Why? Not just because Metroid Prime 4 is one of the most expensive, ambitious titles Nintendo's ever put together, and of course they would want to market that, but also because we've seen Nintendo do this for a lot of their other big adventure games. such as Donkey Kong Bonanza, such as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. For a while, it's more so just a bit of a drip feed of information, not too much, but then once we get to about 4 or 6 weeks before release, they have a big presentation on the game, they show off so much, and they start heavily marketing the game leading up to release. I think that's about to happen with Metroid Prime 4, and this rumor coming from Nashweedle seems to support that idea. And here's just a quick reminder that I have this goal to reach 60,000 subscribers, so if you find yourself enjoying my content, your support in whatever form that comes in is super appreciated. But let's now move on to this official information where Nintendo has confirmed some very interesting details about this game. So here we have an article from Nintendo.com of Japan, and this article says some pretty important stuff. Now, please keep in mind that this is a translation, right? So some names are going to look a little odd. I'll just tell you what they actually mean, but overall the translation seems to be holding strong and telling us some pretty important stuff here. Run through the earth with Viola. Samus acquires a motorbike called the Viola that is equipped with advanced features, and here we see this cool image of Samus, but it also says a vehicle invented by the space race Lamorne, that's the actual name, who once existed on Viewros. By riding Viola, you can quickly traverse across the vast expanse of the unknown planet, Viewros. Now notice here where they say you can quickly travel across the vast expanse of the unknown planet. What's interesting about this is they don't clarify that it's just a desert. And this ultimately, I think, is teasing that the Viola, the motorcycle, will go beyond just a desert as we have been theorizing. Continuing, additionally, you can use special actions while aboard to fight enemies and destroy ores scattered across the ground as you make your way through uncharted territory. So this is actually a big new confirmation here. The fact that we can destroy ores. This is something we've been theorizing on, but we have confirmation of now. So we've seen these little rocks that have been scattered throughout the desert, and they look like ore deposits. So Samus can break these ore deposits, but what will that mean? What will that provide for us? I speculate, and I think many people think this is likely, that it's going to be some sort of drop that will be great for Samus to pick up. Now, what might these drops be for? I imagine there's a decent chance that this resource could be more health, it could be more ammunition. That makes a lot of sense. Now, could it be something else that's yet to have been confirmed about Metroid Prime 4? I certainly think that's a possibility. It could perhaps be more energy for special boosts. We have seen that Samus has a special boost meter, and also there's a few little extra notches in some screenshots, which may imply there's something else this bike can do. It might be extra boosts, we're unsure, but perhaps going through the ore deposits may help you to recharge. Now, something else I'll mention here, we have actually seen from the most recent trailer that they're showcasing a variety of different abilities here. You'll see that to the right there is the normal missiles that actually the icon has changed from earlier Prime 4 footage, so this may mean that the missiles can get upgraded, which is great. But there's also another weapon that has new ammunition, but has a different symbol from the symbols we see to the left. Like the missile symbol is the same, so clearly they've selected that, but there's a flame symbol instead of these 3 circles. They could be 2 different types of weapons. Maybe one is pertaining to the wave beam, the other may be pertaining to the plasma beam. That's a possibility. Now, something else I'll mention though is that we have seen from the back of the box art, there is this character that looks like a Federation trooper, but with yellow armor on top. So they seem to have a special role, and some are theorizing, myself included, that this could have something to do with like upgrading your weapons or some sort of equipment like that, and maybe there's going to be a little bit more of a focus on different ammunition types in this game. So there could be something to that idea, and that may be why we are able to destroy ore throughout the desert. And on top of that, it's going to give us something else to do throughout this vast expanse. But this vast expanse may not be the only vast expanse, and we'll get to that. But continuing on here, boost. Temporarily boost your speeds, knocking enemies back and shattering ore. They mentioned that part again. Power slide. By using the power slide technique, which involves sliding Viola sideways while boosting, you can blow away a wide range of enemies, ores, and other objects. So they're now saying that there's more than just enemies and ore. There's something else to destroy here, which is interesting. what might that be? Maybe at certain points you're going to use a power slide to break through certain obstacles that will allow you to progress further and to different points in the map. Another interesting confirmation here, though, where they talk about the projectiles. You can fire projectiles that track targets. We've seen that in the trailer. However, it also says the projectiles can lock on up to 5 enemies at once, and after attacking the enemies, they return like a boomerang. From the trailer, we can extrapolate that it does come back, but we did not see you being able to lock on up to 5 enemies. So this is somewhat like the homing missile we've seen from the Prime games or just the Metroid games, except you can use this on your bike in this open expanse with different enemies flying throughout the air. That is super interesting, and it's a boomerang, so it comes back. It's not like something that depletes, it recharges. It also says here, and this is a big part, you can summon Viola whenever you are in an available area. Dismounting Viola will return you to Samus's perspective and allow you to resume your exploration. So we've seen that when Samus gets to certain areas, there's like a speed limit that's applied. So clearly it looks like that they limit Samus's use of the motorcycle, but here they are saying whenever you are in an available area. There is a big implication here that an available area is more than just the desert. And that's exciting stuff. Like, we've theorized that maybe there is a vaster expanse in this snow region, as we've seen for some of the footage, and perhaps we can use Viola there. But there may be a lot of locations that they've designed around this massive world of Metroid Prime 4 where we can use Viola. And that just gets me more and more interested. Like, in a video we talked about a few days ago, we touched upon this idea how the desert may function a little bit like a Hyrule field, like from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, where it's like a big hub area that leads you to other bigger points of interest. But from what we're seeing of this article here, it seems like there's going to be other areas where we can use Viola that are vast expanses beyond just this desert here. So while I do still think that the desert may still function like a big hub area and it may be the main vast expanse, there is a lot of implication here that there's more. Continuing with the article though. In order to return alive from the unknown planet to which she has been transported, Samus must use her newly acquired psychic abilities and Viola to clear a path forward. And here they show Samus using a psychic lasso of some sort to gank off this machinery, which we did see in the trailer, but the fact that this image comes up immediately after this description, it implies that the lasso is being used with psychic powers. So the psychic powers are going to have a great deal of applications, it looks like. And there are a few more screenshots here, but none of this is anything too crazy or new. But that's pretty much it. They talk about the amiibos, and there's nothing too insane that's said here, except for this part, where it says, Samus wearing the red Viola suit pilots Viola, a character that can swiftly move across vast lands. It is wider than other amiibo. So when they say vast lands, as in plural, more than one land, that's another implication that it's more than just this desert area. So with this article, Nintendo has confirmed a few things. 1. There are ore deposits that we can break using power sliding, and that likely will yield some sort of resource. But also, there are other objects throughout these vast expanses that we can destroy beyond just enemies and ore deposits. What those are remains to be seen, but there is more, probably giving us more to do on the Viola motorcycle. Now, we also learn that with Samus's projectile ability on Viola, it can lock onto 5 different enemies, which is interesting, and it comes back to you like a boomerang, so it does not deplete. And perhaps the biggest thing here, and it's not outright confirmed, but it's heavily implied several times, is that there are vast expanses to explore, more than one, different areas to go, and this means likely we're going to be using Viola, very likely, beyond just the desert and in other places. Perhaps like the snow region, but if there's a snow region in a desert area, then there's probably going to be some sort of vast expanse to explore across many different areas, and the more I think about it, I think about how we've seen some pretty large bridges in different areas of the map, like even in the forest area, we may be able to use Viola to travel across some very long distances here. Now, I will say this might also mean that there's not really much of a need for something like the speed booster, because if we have Viola, that can go very fast and destroy things with force. That's pretty much what the speed booster can do. Now, it's possible that the speed booster may simply be applied to Viola itself, and maybe that could even lead to a Shine Spike option, although that may be one way to keep the speed booster ability relevant even with Viola, having the speed booster leading into the Shine Spark where you can charge up all of your energy and shoot in a direction high upwards or something like that. And this might be more of an ability to use in more confined spaces, which it appears are places where you can't use Viola. But that pretty much covers about it all. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.